My mother and sister were celebrating my grandfather's 90th birthday. My husband leaned over and whispered, "Get your bags. We have to go home now. Pretend nothing happened." I thought he was overreacting until he locked the car and said, "Something is very, very wrong." 5 minutes later, I called the police. I hadn't seen most of the people there in years, some in 5 years, some longer. Some I was certain I had never met. Someone handed me a plastic champagne flute. A kid ran past with a paper plate as if he were driving. Folding chairs, paper lanterns, soft music playing from someone's Bluetooth speaker. All the trappings of a simple outdoor party. Fun, a little awkward. It should have been fine, and it wasn't for the first hour. I stood by the food table, pretending to care about the grape skewers. My husband, Roger, stood beside me, holding a glass of white wine, looking at the crowd with a cold gaze as if he wanted to leave without saying a word. My mother was relaxed, hugging everyone, wiping away tears, applying lipstick with a tissue. Dad sat near the grill, complaining about the weather as if it were a personal insult. My sister, Natalie, was nowhere to be seen. Her husband was laughing to himself at something no one else was laughing at. This was Grandpa's house, but it didn't feel like it belonged to him anymore. He'd built it after he'd made a fortune. It wasn't flashy, but it was big enough that people would whisper about the fortune he'd made. They all lived here now, Mom, Dad, sister, and her husband. There was probably room. We'd flown in from London the day before. I'd asked for years when I could come back, and the answer had always been vague. Not a good time. Grandpa wasn't well. Maybe next year. Then this spring Mom said, "If you really want to see him, come back for his birthday." I believed it. I thought maybe Mom was softening, that this was the real deal. The party was underway when they wheeled him out in a wheelchair, his hair combed back, wearing a sweater I vaguely remembered. People clapped as if he were walking a red carpet. I stood there frozen. He looked strong, too strong. His face smooth, his eyes absent, as if listening to a song no one else recognized. I waved. He didn't respond. I told myself it was just age. Mom whispered in his ear, and he didn't say much more. It was hard. I nodded as if I understood. Mom raised her glass, began a toast in a voice that trembled, making it seem more about her than him. 90 years of wisdom, love, and tolerance, she said. He built a family. He gave us this life. Some of the guests sobbed. A woman behind me murmured, "How beautiful." Roger didn't clap. I saw his eyes fixed on Grandpa, or rather the man in the wheelchair, as if he were trying to memorize every wrinkle. "Roger?" I asked softly, pushing him gently. "What's wrong?" He didn't answer. Just continued to watch the man. "Roger," he said again, leaning in. "Get your bags. We have to leave now. Act like nothing happened." I sneered. "Are you kidding?" He didn't laugh. His eyes didn't blink. "Get your bags. What are you saying?" "Smile. Get in the house. Pack up." I looked at him intently. "Roger. What's going on?" He turned his head slowly, finally looking at me. "Something is very, very wrong." My hands were cold. I turned to look at Grandpa. He didn't move. His hands were on the armrests like ornaments. "Are you serious?" I asked. Roger didn't answer. He was already in the house. I followed him upstairs. Hastily adjusted the zipper of my duffel bag. My heart pounded. My mouth was dry. I thought, if he's wrong, shame on him. If he's not, we were out. No one stopped us or looked at us. In the car, Roger opened the passenger door, like a gentleman in a spy movie. We got in. He locked the door. Then he gripped the steering wheel and said, "That's not your grandfather." I used to think maybe I was imagining things, the difference the way things were between my sister and me. Maybe I was being too sensitive. Maybe I was being too picky. Maybe I was looking for reasons to feel abandoned. I kept telling myself that until Natalie turned 18, and the family was like parting Titanic when she stood outside the door with her backpack and a full scholarship. Mom cried like a lost soul. "You don't have to go," she pleaded. "We'll manage. Stay a little longer." And me, 2 years ago, when I turned 18, my dad handed me my suitcase with a nod. "It's time to grow up. You're an adult. Go build your life," he said. There were no hugs, no tears, no help packing. I'm not bitter. I mean it. I moved out, went to college, and lived my life. But the feeling of being pushed away like an honored guest while my sister was begged to stay haunted me. The funny thing is, college wasn't an option. I knew I had to go. Not because someone forced me to, but because I needed a reason to leave. My parents didn't give me a dime, they didn't even ask me what I was studying. My grandfather helped me out in secret. He sent money every few months, just enough for rent, food, and when I was weak. No fuss, no life lessons, just a folded check and a letter in shaky handwriting. "Hope I can help you. Proud of you." He'd been there since I could talk, my grandfather by my side. He'd picked me up, told me stories in a tone that held secrets. Made wooden toys, taught me how to use a planer when I was still wearing Velcro shoes. He smelled of cypress and peppermint tea. At the time, I felt like he had me all to himself, that I was his favorite grandchild. Maybe he was. But life pulled everyone apart. University became work. Work became Roger. And suddenly, life put us in London. Not a dramatic escape. Just opportunity, work, timing, and maybe, honestly, relief. Distance makes things easier. Easy to ignore the fact that my parents rarely called. Easy to pretend that the silence was just a time zone difference. Easy not to feel the void after each conversation with Natalie. Despite our friendly nature, we kept in touch. Holiday emails and a few Zoom calls. The last time I spoke to him was on a video call. He looked older but still sharp. Asked about my work. I asked about the garden. He joked about the squirrels eating the tomatoes. That was 3 years ago. After that, things quieted down. I asked him to talk, and my mother said he was sleeping, tired, or too weak. Finally, Mom stopped answering. I thought it was normal. Old people need time to retreat. Something was wrong. I didn't press further. I had a life, a job, a husband. I said it wasn't personal, and I was being gently, politely left out. Then came the birthday invitation, or rather permission. "If you really want to see him," Mom said on the phone, "for his 90th. I didn't hesitate. I booked tickets that night. I hoped it would mean something. I thought it would make a difference, I'd be back. Then I walked into a party where I didn't know anyone, standing on foreign soil, realizing this place didn't belong to me, if it had ever belonged to me. Now they lived like a real family. I was just a visitor. I told myself it was just my imagination, that I was seeing ghosts, that I was being too sensitive. Then Roger leaned in and said, "Get your bag." It wasn't my imagination. We sat in the car like we'd committed a crime. Or escaped a crime. I couldn't tell. Roger held the wheel, waiting for a reaction. His hands were white. I froze in the middle of buckling my seatbelt, but it wasn't all the way down. It all felt unreal. "You mean it wasn't my grandfather?" I asked. He didn't look at me. "I mean it wasn't your grandfather." I looked at him like he'd said the pie was made of uranium. He said, "An impersonator? Like Scooby-Doo?" "Not the mask." His ears were different. I blinked. "Ears?" Roger finally looked at me. "Don't you get it? I remember people's faces so well since I was a kid. I could draw someone I saw once at the train station in 2009. I don't forget a face or an ear. That wasn't your grandfather. My insides melted. I wanted to laugh, but not the happy kind. The high, broken kind, like falling off a cliff. My hands went to my face. Trying to reason out. Who then? Who could replace him? Roger looked back at the house. Your uncle? I wondered. He looked like him when he was young, he said. I said yes. But that was long ago. He wasn't at the party. Didn't say a word. Also, he wore glasses and a beard. Maybe a slight disguise. Not too much. But his ears were different. Roger, I said, I know I'm not imagining things. He nodded. I pressed my forehead against the glass. His breath fogged the glass. My heart pounded so hard it was going to burst through my chest. I didn't want to believe him. Wanted to go back to feeling like a stranger in the house, a secret daughter shunned by her family. That version was much safer. Where's my grandfather? Roger didn't answer. Where's my grandfather? The question ran through me like a broken fever. Everything was spinning. The flustered greetings, the tears, the empty guest list, the way they kept me away. The way he didn't speak, the way they kept me from him. I haven't talked to you in 3 years, I blurted out. Roger looked away. What? I swallowed. 3 years. The last time was over Zoom. He looked tired. Mom said he was too sick to talk. Every time I called, he said he was resting or had a rough night. I thought I was overreacting. Now I'm not sure if I was really screaming in vain the whole time. You should call someone, Roger said. I looked at him. You mean the police? He nodded. If it was wrong, it wasn't wrong. I stood still, not breathing. I pictured Mom's face as I left. The forced smile that didn't meet her eyes. The slight shake of her head, as if I were a stranger in her life. I'm going to ruin everything, I whispered. Victoria, Roger said softly, it's not your fault. I reached for the heavy phone. Fingers fiddled with the screen. Then I called. The police arrived faster than I expected. They were dressed casually, lightly. They talked to us outside the car. I tried to tell them briefly and reasonably about my suspicions that someone was impersonating my grandfather. I didn't know where he was and it felt very strange. They asked questions calmly, like a trap, even though it wasn't. Then they walked into the house as if they were delivering a package. I sat outside and watched. The party didn't stop immediately. No one panicked. The disaster didn't come from screaming or running around. Worse, everything seemed to shut down, fading away as if the knob of reality had been turned down. The guests still held their glasses, smiled, but their eyes became blank, their shoulders tightened. The police started to separate people and ask questions. I saw one person talking to his mother, who appeared to have just swallowed fake alcohol. She reacted, waving her hands, shaking her head. Her mouth spoke quickly, her hands didn't touch anyone, not even my father. He stood alone, looking at the bushes as if searching for an answer. I saw them talking to the person in the wheelchair. He didn't say anything. They asked to see his papers. My mother went into the house to get something but didn't change anything. The police bent down and continued to ask questions in a low voice. Keep a serious professional look. One person stands up and leaves. The other stays. Finally, the person in the car looks up, says a few words, and nods. The story is not over. A policeman approaches the car and asks if we can keep in touch. Is it Grandpa? I ask. We're still checking. But you know the answer. The person doesn't answer directly. We'll be in touch soon. Then he leaves. I sit there, feeling the weight of each second weighing on me. Where is Grandpa? Where is Grandpa? That night, my phone rings. Mom, why did you do that? I can't tell if it's yelling, crying, or even screaming. What did you call the police for with your family? Do you think you're better than us because you're married far away? You don't understand anything. We did what we had to do for him, for everyone. What about you? What did you do? I tried to speak, but couldn't. You don't understand. You didn't experience it. So what did you do? Where is Grandpa? Silence. Then the phone suddenly went dead. The next morning the police came to the hotel. I was about to faint. Not because I was afraid of them, but because I still hoped Roger was imagining things, seeing things wrong, exaggerating. But they didn't come to arrest or question me. They came to tell me that my grandfather had died. For 3 years. They spoke softly, professionally. One did most of the talking. The other stared at me as if waiting for me to run away. They said that the family had voluntarily reported it. He died in March 2022 of natural causes. The body had been buried in secret. The case is under further investigation pending verification from the autopsy. Their words were like raindrops falling on a locked door. I listened but couldn't absorb them. 3 years. And I sent a birthday card. I suggested a video call. I wondered if I had made him angry by being away. Or if he was just tired, confused, too sick to talk. No, he was gone. They didn't tell me, they didn't tell anyone. I don't remember what I said to the police. Maybe they asked if he was in pain. They didn't know. They asked if the person in the wheelchair was my uncle. They nodded. I wanted to scream, or smash, or crawl into a hole and never come out. Instead, I said, "Thank you." Like a good daughter, a polite fool. The news spread online for days. First there were rumors, Reddit posts, town blogs. Then a video popped up, a birthday greeting, my mom wiping away tears, my grandpa pretending to listen, seemingly real. The person in the wheelchair had been dead for 3 years. His family threw a birthday party for the imposter. Social media did what it liked, mock, speculate, tear the family apart. I didn't read the comments. I only read the first 20 and then gave up. People called me all sorts of things: complicit, narcissistic, ungrateful child, should have left the family alone. The one with an opinion. Then the call came from the lawyer. Not from the family. My grandfather's lawyer. "Victoria, I've tried to contact you many times. Lately. Grandpa left you his property, the house, the business, the trust, everything." I looked at the floor, the small misalignment of the kitchen tiles. His voice was soft, "It's not a secret. He told your mother, your sisters, years ago." Everything suddenly became clear. The lies, the secrets, the fake parties, the person in the wheelchair. The family didn't just hide him, they hid me. If he died, the property would be mine. If I didn't know, they could live in his house, spend his money, pretend I didn't exist. I called my mother. I didn't know what I wanted, an answer or an apology. She picked up the phone immediately. "You ungrateful son. How dare you?" Her voice shook with anger. Not sadness, not shame, but rage. "You called the police into the house, smeared the family. You don't understand anything. You left. Abandoned your mother, and now you're back to being a hero." I tried to speak. She snapped at me, not letting me speak. "Where are you? Where are you?" I interrupted. Silence. "What happened to him? What did you do with his body?" She said coldly, "You can't ask." "Not now. I asked every year." She lied. "We protected him, protected you." I laughed. It was dry, broken laughter, like something breaking under pressure. Not protection. Robbery. Then she hung up. Over the next few weeks, the investigation progressed slowly, then quickly. There were statements, interviews, court orders. Finally, the autopsy confirmed the family's story. Grandpa died of natural causes in his sleep. No injuries, no poison, no violence, just the quiet end of old age. I cried for the first time since the police came because I could finally mourn him without suspicion. But the forgery and the money were still there. The charges included failure to report a death, concealment of information, taking money without permission, and identity theft. The family didn't go to jail. They were put on probation. Strict, closely monitored. Any wrongdoing would result in jail. My uncle, the stuntman, got a separate sentence, cooperated with the investigation. Also put on probation. As for me, I got the house, all the assets. Not huge, but enough to explain why they had to pretend for so long. I didn't fire them. The court did that. They left quietly. No apologies or even a look in the eye. Mom left a note on the kitchen table, "You're always good at taking things that aren't yours." I burned it in the sink. The first night here, I sat in his chair. Opened a bottle of wine, put my feet up on the table. The house was quiet, still smelling of polished wood. I didn't feel happy, vindicated, or angry anymore. Just abandoned. For the first time, I don't feel like a stranger. I have no contact with my parents or my sister. No text, no word. Sometimes I wonder if I've gone too far. Sometimes I wonder if I haven't gone far enough. Let me know what you think. And if you want to hear more stories like this, subscribe and hit the bell.